Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Allegany County Board of Education meeting for September 12th, 2023. If everyone would please rise for the pledge to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Llewellyn, we need a reading of closed session summary for executive session held August 15th.
The Allegany County Board of Education met in closed session on August 15th, 2023 at Central Office at 1 o'clock. The purpose of the closed session was to consult with legal counsel, discuss personnel matters, to consider the acquisition of real property, and to engage in administrative function. All 5 board members were present. The vote to go into session was unanimous. The topics discussed were school security employee update, building update, and criminal proceeding for trespass.
We need a motion to approve the,
Move to approve the executive session meeting notes.
Dr. Bond.
Second the motion.
You don't need to approve it.
Okay, don't need to approve it. We're good.
Withdraw my recommendation to approve.
Well,
I
all right.
appreciate the support, though.
Hey,
That's what you were.
we're to consent agenda. We do need a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Ms. Bender?
I second the motion.
Ms. Lepley? Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Superintendent's report. Mr. Rumgay.
Good afternoon. A uniform plan and practice response to any incident is the foundation of a safe school. With that, Allegany County Public Schools continues to strengthen the safety and security of our district by implementing what is known as the I Love You Guys Foundation. It is an approach in managing critical incidents. There are two main components of the foundation. One, the standard response protocol, which I will refer to as the SRP. The second phase, standard reunification method, known as the SRM. We have implemented the SRP, and we are in the beginning phases to establish the SRM. I'd like to take a minute to focus on the SRP again. Standard response protocol. It is action-based, flexible, and easy to learn. It rationally organizes tactics for response to weather events, fires, accidents, chemical leaks, intruders, and other threats to personal safety. Through collaboration between experts such as first responders, public safety officials, schools, psychologists, and students, the I Love You Guys Crisis and Reunification is now implemented in over 40,000 schools. The SRP is utilized a specific vocabulary that allows for flexibility so it can be put in effect in any crisis. These are as follows: hold, secure, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter. Each response provides a brief description of the actions to be taken for both students and staff. In closing, the information has also been relayed to our law enforcement partners, emergency services partners, and fire departments.
Yeah, Mr. Rumgay, the vocabulary is different than what our school system used to, that we followed last year, where we had lock-ins, lockdowns, and things where community and staff could easily get confused, mainly the community. So this verbiage is easier to understand.
That's the main concept. It was determined again through studies that it was just too confusing. We had lock-in, lockdown, lockout, and these are just simple terms that kids can understand, parents can understand, staff can understand, law enforcement. They're just basic commands. It just eliminates confusion.
And we're in a process. It will take time to implement the program incomplete. So Right now, we're doing the vocabulary. We're having some groups prepare for some of the evacuation. But right now, at the school base, we're learning the vocabulary. That's the main piece at this point.
That is correct. We're moving forward with just vocabulary at this time.
So we wanted to make sure we shared that with the community and had it here for any questions for board members at this stage.
Any questions of Mr. Rumgay?
Mr. Rumgay, is this going to be posted on the Facebook page of the school system, or where would teachers or students or parents find this?
August 3rd, we're in the process of doing that as well. We've done some. The schools have posters they've been putting out. Compliment the administrators of our schools. They've hit the ground running with this response, with the change in the vocabulary. But good, you bring up a good point. You know, we do need to get this information out to parents, and we're in the process of getting that done as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
Anything else? Appreciate the job you're doing this year. We're hearing a lot of positives back. I know the board members are and the superintendent is, and I think everybody's happy with the way security's going this year, especially with the addition of the extra personnel. So I want to thank you for the good job you're doing. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We have an instructional update from Dr. Kim Caldwell.
Good afternoon. I'd like to give you an update on the class of 2023 report. We had 488 graduates. That is a reduction typically in our number of graduates. It was a smaller class. And of those, almost half of our students have elected to continue their studies locally at Allegany College of Maryland or Frostburg State University. We've had our students accepted into 34 different colleges and universities across the country. And then we had a total dollar amount of scholarships, athletic, senatorial, merit of almost $5 million for our students. So very proud of the accomplishments of the class of 2023. The next item is to just give you a kind of a look at our advanced placement enrollment for the year. The slides themselves are very small, so if you want to look at your actual presentations, that might be helpful for you. But as you look at our advanced enrollment, you can see that some of our courses across the years have remained pretty constant as far as enrollment, and some of our courses have dipped. If you take a look at our AP Government and Politics, we did some changes in our course sequence with that, and our numbers this year have greatly increased. When we have a lack of interest in our AP courses, there are opportunities sometimes to provide that through an online method. And if we're able to do that and can provide the coverage, we do so if we don't have the enough student interest to actually have a course for that. If you move to I'll move to the next slide, which is our dual enrollment. We have noticed an increase in our dual enrollment classes for our students. With the new blueprint requirements, school districts do fund dual enrollment programs for the students, and we do that here in Allegany County as well. That began last year. So some of our increases have been, if you look across this slide, you will see that we've had increases in our college English, our college speech, our college psychology, and our college algebra, and our college probability and stats courses. You might also note criminal law and criminal evidence and procedure. Those are CTE courses, and our college computer and college computer logic are primarily our P-Tech students who are involved in those college courses. Of course, with the blueprint requirements, we will look on expanding both AP and dual enrollment opportunities for our students. And as most of you are aware, this year we started through the Maryland Leads Grant, we began the Grow Your Own Staff Teacher Education Program at Allegany College of Maryland with our incoming juniors and seniors. And currently we have 13 students enrolled to get a jump start on a teaching degree. I am doing a segment on Community Matters here sometime this month through Frostburg, and that actually the topic of that will be on the Maryland Leads Teacher Education Program through ACM. We're hoping to increase that number, if not here during the fall semester, during the spring semester. And again, students will be able to have that opportunity in their senior year if they don't take advantage of it this year. But they can both take their courses for high school and the college coursework at the same time to get that jump start on the teaching degree. And we do have 3 students currently enrolled in the Bobcat Academy at Frostburg State University, where they're going to Frostburg full-time and earning their credits for both high school and college. So we hope to expand that program as well. So that just gives you a brief update on the class of 2023 and the current status with our AP and dual enrollment. Any questions?
Sorry. So the advanced placement, that's usually like juniors and seniors? Is that right?
It is. There are AP Government and Politics is offered in grades 10 through 12, but primarily the AP courses are offered to juniors and seniors.
Is there a reason why our hard sciences, like calculus, statistics, biology, chemistry, physics 1 and 2, we have 152 out of about 1,000 students enrolled in those courses?
In the AP,
Yeah.
we're finding that many more students, because of the advantages with dual enrollment and getting the credits and actually getting it paid for, are taking advantage of some of those. You can kind of look and see where they are as far as the college biology 1 and 2 and the college probability and stats.
It's not even another 100 for biology.
Yeah.
It's pretty low.
Yeah, it really depends on student interest, and we offer so many specialized programs, whether it's biomedical science or a CTE pathway, that students have so many different opportunities to select from. And some choose the AP pathway, and some choose the CTE pathway, and others choose the dual enrollment pathway or the P-TECH pathway. So we're just offering a lot of different pathways, which is great because students have a choice in what is beneficial to them and their career expectations.
Yeah, they're getting in their interested area.
They really
The more
are.
choices you have, of course, it's going to spread out. So, yeah, I think it's
Yes.
great. We have so many students taking advantage of all the options you've given them. It's great.
Yeah, with Blueprint, we'll be adding more options here in the next few years, so that's great. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Good evening. I wanted to bring you some additional information that has come from the State Department that does show the different counties across the state of Maryland and their performance levels as well. So the first graph that we're looking at that's in your packet combines English Language Art grades 3 through 8 performance levels. This is showing the percent of students that were proficient. Keep in mind there are 4 different levels of proficiency. 1 is a beginner learner, 2 is approaching. Only levels 3 and 4 are what's considered meeting the proficiency. And that's what we're talking about here. So you can see for ELA grades 3 through 8, statewide, 47% of students are proficient, and in the county we have 49% proficient. Off to the side, it also has the dissemination of the counties. That puts us right about smack in the middle for English 3 through 11. That ranks us 12th of the 24 counties. They also have color-coded these charts anywhere from gray and then the blues. As the blue gets darker, the number is higher. So you can see we're in that middle blue range as far as the percent proficient for English, grades 3 through 8. I will say while we're on this slide, looking at, so if students aren't proficient, they're at a level 1 or a 2. And that makes a big difference which one they're at. A level 1 is a good bit away from being proficient. We only have 8% of our students at a level 1, which means 42% of them are at the level 2. Of those 42, I broke the numbers all apart, and of those 42% that are at a level 2, 20% of them are within 10 points of being proficient. And that's really 1 to 3 questions based on what type of question they might get there. So that was really encouraging. And to the English language arts, they're focusing on some of the standards, the evidence statement analysis that we're giving that shows which standards we actually performed well and which ones we could use some work on. So they know exactly where to focus. The next chart actually is still English language arts 3 through 8. This one doesn't show the proficiency, but this shows a growth, the growth rate. The growth rate in the state of Maryland for English grades 3 through 8 was 2.9%. Allegheny County had a growth rate of 4.8%, which puts us 4th of the 24 counties. I'll pause there for a moment so you can just kind of look at that graph. The graph also still goes from gray and then through the darkening blue. We're in the darker blue on that one, which I like to see. Moving to the next slide, we have the proficiency rate for English. Let's see, next slide. Whoops. Sorry, I just needed to toggle those myself, didn't I? No wonder you weren't looking at the slide. Sorry about that. Nobody manning that for me, huh? My apologies there. Do you want me to stop on that one so you could see? I know it was in your packet. So the next slide is the proficiency rate for English, grade 10. Statewide, the proficiency rate was 54%. Allegheny County had a proficiency rate of 51%. That does put us 16th, rated against the other counties. And we're in that middle blue zone. We did not get a growth rate of English 10, but I did go ahead and take a look at the level 1 and 2 test takers. Level 1, we only had 5.5% of our test takers that were level 1. Very encouraging because that means almost all of them that were not proficient were at a level 2. Of the 43% that were at a level 2, 26% of our students are within 10 points of being proficient. So we feel that's very doable to have some major increases for the next year. Next, we can move and do the same looking at the graphs for math. This one is math, grades 3 through 8. The proficiency rate for the state of Maryland was 25%. Allegheny County had a proficiency rate of 28%. That ranks us 11th of the 24 counties. Also, again, puts us in the middle blue range. We know these percentages are a little lower, so we have some level 1 and 2 numbers to look at here as well. We have 46% of our students at a level 2. Of the 46%, 17% of them are within 10 points of passing. Growth rate for math, grades 3 through 8. The state grew an average of 2.5%. Allegheny County grew 3%. Puts us in the darker blue for our growth, and it puts us at 7th of the 24 counties. The next slide is the same, showing Algebra 1. The average proficiency rate for the state of Maryland was 17%. Allegheny County is in the darkest blue for this one at 25%. It also puts us at 7th of the counties, 7th of 24. We have 53.5% of our students at a level 2. So we have some work to do here, but 19% of them are within 10 points. 19%. We've also included, we wanted to include, I don't think is in your packet, the science, but we did receive those, so we wanted to include them as well. This is science for grade 5. The proficiency level at the state of Maryland was 34.5, and Allegheny County was 34, putting us right there smack at the county average. puts us 14th of the 24. This one is interesting because 53% were level 2, and we have 34% of our students within 10 points of being proficient. That is a huge number. We feel with some slight adjustments, which the supervisors have been working. We've been working at the county level, school level, with the principals, drilled clear down to individual teachers, finding strengths, finding needs, kind of looking at what's working and where we can improve. And then I also have a graph exactly the same for grade 8. The statewide proficiency rate is 26.4, and the Allegheny County is 20.5. This one puts us 17th of the 24 counties. 56% of our students were level 2, and 25% of them are within 10 points of proficiency. So we do feel like a lot of students are right on the cusp of proficiency. A few things about the science test in general for the state of Maryland and for Allegheny County. It's a cumulative test which encompasses grade 6th, 7th, 8th grade material. It's integrated all of the courses together. And many of the students, when they were in 6th and 7th grade, they were coming back off of COVID. And so we do feel like this test in itself was hit the hardest, maybe, as far as the knowledge they are coming back and seeing that. So we're doing the same work there, looking at what can be done at the county, school, and teacher level. I'll take any questions at this time.
Did they give you a breakdown of geometry?
They did not provide geometry like this as far as the state level in the report. I can break our own numbers apart, but we do have like an average of where the geometry was. But they didn't disseminate the counties for
I was
us.
just curious about.
They
the
did not.
counties. Yeah, 'cause it
Or
seems like
Algebra
everybody-
2.
Yeah. School
No.
Lower. Okay.
Very good question, though.
Yeah, and I asked Ms. Simpson to take the exact graph that they use at the state board, and to be completely transparent where we stand with everything. So we used everything that they had, and they didn't have that particular one. So that way it's apples to apples, everything we're sharing.
So with this information, and when I go through it, and you went through it, it looks to me like certain counties, Carroll County, Worcester County, some of those are always right at the top, and we're hanging just above the middle somewhere. What's it gonna take for us to get up there with them? That's what I wanna do.
It's a great question. And we had that as discussion in our supervisors meeting, possibly to even reach out to the other counties, go visit, find out what they are doing differently, possibly. And that has been a piece of our discussion as well. We want to be there as well.
Yeah, we're using a lot. There will be a lot of strategies forthcoming. We just got all the data. We're trying to digest what we're doing right now, and then see what others are doing, and along with drilling down to see what's most effective for us. So a lot of work to do there, but a lot of good things are happening already. So that's what we're going to focus on, improving.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're down to unfinished business. Consider repealing school superintendent policy file CB. Mr. Llewellyn.
This is up for second reading. If you have any questions, let me know. The policy committee recommends repeal of this policy.
Motion to approve second reading of the repeal of school superintendent policy file CB.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Fraley, second by Dr. Bond. Any questions? All those in favor? Approved. Consider repealing temporary administrative assignment policy CI. Mr. Llewellyn.
Again, for second reading, if you have any questions. Otherwise, policy committee recommends repeal of this policy.
Motion to approve repeal of policy CI.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Bender, second by Dr. Bond. All those in favor? Approved. Consider second reading of alcohol, drug, and tobacco-free workplace policy file GBEC. Mr. Llewellyn.
This is also up for second reading. This one just had some updates on the legal references.
Motion to approve second reading of alcohol, drugs, and tobacco-free workplace policy file GBEC, excuse me.
Motion by Dr. Bond,
I second that motion.
second by Ms. Lepley. All those in favor? Approved. Consider second reading of evaluation of student policy, grading policy file IKA. Mr. Llewellyn.
This one's again for second reading. This is just an update on definitions, and you'll have the regulation for first review under new business.
Motion to approve second reading of evaluation of student policy, grading policy file IKA.
Motion made by Dr. Bond,
Second.
second by Ms. Bender. Any questions? Yes, Laura.
We should probably point out that this one, we didn't change the grade book timeline for this, correct? Is this the
It's
right?
on the regulation part.
Oh, I'm on the wrong, okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was looking for that.
You jumped the gun. You're
Okay,
almost there.
sorry about that.
I have one question. On number 10 on, whatever the last page is, where it kind of talks about the grading process and it says make current information available to students and parents about the student's academic performance through the district student information system. And I noticed that the district student information system is highlighted. I assume that's so that it can be generic of where those grades are posted, or that academic performance is posted. But I do know, as Ms. Lepley pointed out, we're going to talk about the regulations as to the timing. But I think that the policy having make current information may need to be adjusted so that it's clear on what current means.
Yeah, I think the meat of that ends up being in the regulation.
Okay.
So that is carved out in the regulation pretty extensively, I think.
Okay, and so the question would be, from a board policy perspective, the regulation could change, right? So currently, the regulation, I'll make it up, let's just say it says post once a month, and then it may change to be once every 2 weeks. But this, we wouldn't have any say on that piece of it, it's just current, right?
Well, it would require your review,
Right,
and then if you were unhappy with your review, you would vote to send it back to policy committee with instructions to change it.
I got you. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Approved. Next thing is hearing of constituents, and we are honored to have Senator McKay here this evening and the DMLA.
Getting up and down is still a little bit of a challenge with my knee surgery going on 2.5 weeks now. So anyhow, President Farrell, Vice President Bender, and the rest of the board of members, I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to just come and share some really, really great news. DMLA is in your community, is in your schools. DMLA is in Cumberland. The Cumberland chapter, as a matter of fact, has been around for 100+ years. And not 100 years ago, but actually when I was in Montgomery County, I was a DMLA. And we have Dusty Long, who is the master counselor, which would be the equivalent of the president of the local chapter, to talk about what DMLA is. And I'm going to go sit down. So without further ado, Mr. Dusty Long, an Allegheny County Public School student.
Hello, my name is Dustin Long, and I am the current Master Counselor of the Cumberland chapter of the Order of DMLA. With me today are my brothers, State Master Counselor Matthew McKay, brother Junior Counselor Tyler Langford, and brother Senior Counselor Levi Wiseman. For those of you who do not know, DMLA is a youth organization for young men, and we are locally sponsored by the Cumberland Scottish Rite. As a Master Counselor, I am the youth leader of the chapter for the current term. At the end of my term, I will pass the torch of leadership to one of my brothers. Each and every member of each and every member of DMLA looks upon and respects the institution of public education, and we consider the access to that public education to be the seat of our liberties and one of our blessings as Americans. We are here today to acknowledge and recognize each of you, our elected representatives to our Board of Education, and to thank you for your efforts to keep our most valuable institution of public education alive and thriving. We invite each of you to visit our chapter meeting at your pleasure so that you may learn more. Until then, thank you from the Cumberland chapter or DMLA for all that you do to promote public education.
Thank you so much for coming this evening. It's good to see you, all you folks come and Senator come to enlighten us a little bit on what DMLA does and how you guys help and serve the community, and that you're, successful in the school system, and we really appreciate that. Anyone else? Okay. Moving on, public comments. I don't think we have anyone set to speak.
Well, that doesn't know that you don't have to stay there. You're
Yeah,
more
you don't,
welcome.
if you're more than welcome to leave if you want, or you're welcome to stay.
It is my 31st wedding anniversary.
Congratulations on that, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Pickleball next week.
We're under new business now. Consider regulation review, evaluation of student policy, the grading policy, file IKA. Mr. Llewellyn.
So this is the regulation we're speaking of. Ms. Fraley, I think you want to look at page 2, C. There's yellow and green, and that's because policy committee worked on this. Then it was sent out for feedback among staff, and then brought back. And so the green was the recommended changes by staff. And so this is where it is as of now. It is a regulation, so it's for the board's review. If the board rejects it, you would do that via a motion and a vote, and then it would go back to policy committee. I do think it's hoped that the board won't do that, so that at least this can, these changes can be implemented for this school year. Did I?
Any other questions for Mr. Llewellyn on the regulation? Ms. Fraley?
Okay, and so just to be clear, that the regulation currently states that the student grades will be updated every 2 weeks using the online grading program. And the policy before was the student information system. So I would suggest, and I don't know if it's substantive or not, but to denote what the online grading program means, so that it's clear whether it's within Schoology or it's within Aspen, at least at this point, on where those grades can be seen, because part of it is not only for the student, but the students and the parents to be able to keep track of their student. And so currently, right now, I think it could be a little more clear, or it may not need to be. Maybe it was on purpose that it was not clearly stated, and we could just have an understanding of what it is. And more importantly, though, is to make sure that our parents and community are aware of where they need to go to get the evaluation of their students.
I think that whole piece is the piece that's going back to the policy committee to review. I know we were generic because if we're using Aspen or if we're using another, I don't want to name a bunch of companies, but there are several ways. You are correct, and we're hoping that our intent is the teacher, along with his or her students, they'll know where they can see their grades as they move forward, whether it's Aspen or if we end up going to another HRS system. So right now, that is Aspen. That's why it's generic, you're correct.
Okay.
But there's also some recommendations that there may be other companies we would use that may be easier for students, staff, and parents. That would be under review. So we wouldn't have to keep coming back and changing the name of how we're doing that.
Yeah, I think we should say that C1 is the topic of much discussion as it relates to time. And basically what happened was we ran out the clock on that, decided it needed to discuss further, but we wanted to get the regulation otherwise in place. So there was a lot of different variations of C1 in play. And so I think, the plan is that discussion on C1 is going to continue. There was a lot of discussion about time, the time frame, the 2-week time frame. And so we didn't get to a consensus as policy committee, but wanted the rest of it. So what we did is we left C1 alone and said, let's at least get the rest. Everybody was good with the rest of it. And probably the biggest change in it was A3 and 4, and that's allowing students to resubmit certain assignments or assessments. And so wanted to get that through, and then we were going to look, the policy committee is going to revisit under C. So while we're doing that, while we're under the hood with that, we can make the language consistent in terms of what you're pointing out. So
Okay,
The policy committee spent almost 2 hours going just over that one piece, and I think as Ms. Lepley will tell you, we exhausted it every which way we could, and I think we came up with a good decision, so hopefully that'll be it.
Okay, and so when and if it changes, when you guys take it back to policy and then it gets revamped, that regulation would come back to the board again as a review of an updated regulation?
yes.
And possibly changing policy if it's necessary?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
thank you.
Okay, need a motion?
No, if there's not
We
a
don't?
motion, then you just move forward.
Okay, we're good with it then. Vote to meet in executive session October 10th, 2023 is necessary.
Motion to meet in executive session October 10th as necessary.
Ms. Bender?
Second.
Second by Dr. Bond. All those in favor? Okay. Student member of the board, Alex, you're up.
Thank you. So the first thing I have is just talking about how the state student member of the board is elected. So previously, it was really based off of the powers of MASC, which is the Maryland Association of Student Councils, and everything was through them. They would approve all of the candidates for that position, and the state board is looking to kind of use their funding for the candidates. So we're kind of changing the language between how the state's mob is elected, and this is kind of up for debate right now. No decision has been made or set in stone yet. We are going to have a conversation this week about what's going on with that, all of the county mobs and the state's mobs. So I will find out more about that soon. The second thing, I will be in attendance at MABE's annual conference as a part of the student panel on October 3rd, and that is just to discuss different struggles, pensions, realities of students, and I wanted to discuss like equal opportunity for students, new curriculum curriculum options for students, and a fine arts completer program, which is just, it's like P-Tech, a technology education program, anything like that, but for the fine arts programs. So differences in curriculums occur at the state level, so that was something I really wanted to bring up when I went there. So that will be on October 3rd. I also wanted to address school safety, security, and resources for our students. So those were some of the things. And the last thing is on September 28th, the Allegany County Association of Student Councils will have its first assembly of students, middle school and high school. I believe usually we get a lot of attendance from Mount Savage and Mountain Ridge. So this is a really good opportunity for me to communicate with them on any concerns they may have or any ideas, opinions, etc. So, and that's just really character and leadership building skills with the workshops that the ACPS board makes, and I'll be able to engage with them, talk to them about what SMOB is, etc., kind of what I'm going to do on October 3rd when I talk to the state board. So yes, that's all I have.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any board member updates?
Only that the May meeting, conference that's coming up that she's going to be attending, I'll also be attending as part of the, being an immediate past president, second year. And we'll be able to have representation there. And I know usually the superintendent's able to come. It just kind of depends on the timing. So we look forward to that for sure. And hopefully we can show what Western Maryland does different than other ones downstate and provide that information, because I think, as you noted, we have a lot of different programs that in the past we've given presentations about, like the Chinese immersion program several years ago when it first started. We gave a presentation about that. So I think if we can do that, that'll help. And also it's going to help with the testing assessments that we were just talking about, because every county will be there. So if there's any discussion that needs to take place, that'll be helpful. And the other thing I'd like to do is I give a status all the time of the consortium on coordinated community supports that I serve on as part of MABE. Their RFP just came out for additional services to be provided for mental health and substance abuse type of services that are in addition to what we may already have. I do know that Allegany County, the school system, as well as some of the local community members have been part of those discussions. And it's great to see all of those part of that. And that RFP goes through October and has services to be available in the spring. So there's potential. And this is not for the school system to provide services, but it's for the community to provide services to the school system. So the money piece of it is going to be in the community side, but it is going to be potentially providing services for our students and our community that we may not have had before, because there was funding. It was part of the blueprint and additional funding to be able to help with those things that maybe the school system currently doesn't do, or the community needs more help to do it. And it's good for Allegany County and Western Maryland totally, because it's not based on the size of your county, it's based on your need, so that there's potential that instead of a lot of it going downstate, that the money can be equally spread across the state. And that's all.
Thank you. Any other update? Yes. Let me find it. We need to read the vision and mission statement of ACPS. ACPS vision statement is to raise all children up to their potential with caring relationships, high expectation, and rigorous and relevant learning so that all students graduate ready for college and careers. The vision statement, ACPS vision statement, is to support all students in reaching their potential by providing a positive, safe, respectful, and engaging learning environment. We are to mission statement to ensure that students acquire the knowledge and skills and attitudes which enable them to be caring human beings and productive members of a democratic society. And also the ACPS updated mission statement is to ensure that students acquire the knowledge and skills and attitudes supporting them in becoming caring and productive members of their community. We also have an ACPS strategic plan for 23-24 in line with the Maryland State Department of Education's strategic plan. ACPS has established a blueprint implementation plan which is adopted and approved by the AIB. With that, I think we're pretty much finished. Yes, ma'am.
So just to clarify, the second that Bob read of the vision and the second of the mission are the updated ones. We met together as a board and revised those last month. So the second one of each one that he read is what's going to be updated on the website for everybody to see.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Ms. Bender.
Second.
Dr. Bond, all those in favor? We're adjourned.